This week we're talking about mobile and digital art, which has really taken off in recent years. And we have two guests with us today who themselves are digital artists. Obviously they have their iPads and their styluses with them. This is Sumit Vishwakarma and Carolyn Mustard from the Mobile Art Academy, and they're also organizers of the third annual Mobile Digital Art and Creativity Summit, which started in 2013 at the Palo Alto Art Center. And I would love if one of you could just kick us off by explaining, the history of the summit and how it came to be and what's upcoming next weekend when it's happening this year.
Oh, sure. You want me to go ahead?
Sure.
So, as you said, we started in 2013. And until then, there were a lot of people already started to create art on the iPads and iPhones. Just that there was no common ground or platform where people can come together and share their artwork. So me and Caroline, we already met online through common online like Facebook groups where people share art. And then we thought to do something together, and we started Mobile Art Academy and did our first exhibition where our plan was to display our work, but then we thought, why not display other people's work, right? And so we sent out an email, a shout out to the community we were part of. And everyone was really excited, so they started sending their work to us, and that's how it all started. So she can tell us more about how we started the conference.
Yes, well, the whole idea was that we wanted this to be taken seriously as an art form, like not just kind of bunnies and pretty pictures, but like a serious art form. And not that bunnies are wrong, but so that we specifically wanted to connect up with, a gallery and a community of like just straight art. Like good art is good art, whether you do it, painting on the streets or whatever. Anyway, so we did that. And then the second year we felt, hey, this is really successful, so we should expand it and we should do a conference. So that was our 2-day conference, and that brought in, top artists from all over the country. And we were sold out to the point that we actually started at the Palo Alto, the Pacific Art League, but we had so many people we had to go to a larger venue, so that's what took us to Palo Alto Art Center, who welcomed us with open arms.
And when you started in 2013, you had it at the Pacific Art League. That was also an interesting space, just because it had so much history.
Yes.
And I wasn't, I'm not too in the art world, but it seemed like they weren't quite there in terms of looking really forward.
No, well, what happened was, they really are like traditionalists.
Right.
And, but they had a very forward-seeing executive director at the time, Seth Shillette. So when we met with him, he had a great interest in making sure that the league remained relevant. And he felt that they needed to really embrace digital art to become relevant in this community, especially like in Silicon Valley. And so we kind of like partnered with him to really create. So they have been our main supporters. I've been teaching there from that point forward. And so traditional artists have now started using the medium and love it. I mean, it's a medium. And
what are some classes that you guys both teach?
Well, I'm the main teacher. I teach two main apps, but I teach Paper 53, which is a great, simple, easy app to start with. And the emphasis of my teaching is you can do it. So I literally can get somebody painting within an hour, and that's the idea. Then they go on to Procreate, which is like Paper 53 on steroids. It's like that's like having Photoshop on your iPad. Well, obviously not everything, but it's the closest thing, and it's a very powerful app. But I also teach a lot of other things. Like so, I teach two main groups of people: kids, and I would say mostly middle schoolers. And then I teach adults, and I would say mostly 40 upwards. And there I've been teaching Losasso, Sunnyvale, Tony Cupertino, Filoli, Pacific Art League, Menlo Park, all the Parks and Recs places. Menlo School, and now also I teach all the teachers, the elementary teachers at Palo Alto Unified School District. So I'm very much partnered up with the art coordinator there, Sharon Ferguson, to kind of like bring the teachers in on the fun and say, hey, introduce them to the medium so that they can then look at teaching their own kids,
And just to be clear for people who may not be that familiar with mobile digital art, you've got iPads with you. So mobile digital art can be created on an iPad, but how else?
On my phone.
Phone is a big
I'm
medium.
a big iPhone
yes.
painter.
In fact, the cover
of the newspaper today
is created on an iPhone.
Wow.
So iPhone is like a studio in your pocket, right? So you just take out your iPhone and then start creating. That's kind of the beauty of this device. That's kind of started me when I first bought my iPhone, and I was like, can I draw? And I just download some free app, and I can draw. And I was like, oh, this could be serious art if done with proper attention. And it's basically, even on Android phones, you have apps which are supported in both the platforms.
Absolutely.
iOS and Android. And even now, Microsoft is coming up with Surface, right? Which is kind of their tablet. And they're also supporting these new apps called Fresh Paint, which is a Microsoft native app, and it's very powerful for creating art. So last year we have some entries, and even this year we have some entries done on the Microsoft Surface using Fresh Paint.
Interesting.
So I think all these platforms kind of growing and trying to invest more, just that iOS has the most advanced and exhaustive set of apps, not just for art, but for other creative outlets.
In your story, I had never heard the term iPhoneography before, so is that just for photos taken on iPhones?
Right, let's make a distinction between that too, because this year's conference you've got kind of two strands.
Yes.
You've got the people who are doing iPhone art and painting and drawing, and then people who are doing iPhoneography. So what's the difference? What kind of apps do you need for each of those?
So I would say taking pictures is very easy, right? You just go somewhere and you just like something, take a picture. But making that art is a creative process, right? So we have set of people, and even now I'm trying to get into iPhoneography, is taking pictures and then running it through different apps and extracting out some of the cool things or aspects from that app and adding it into my photograph and making it an artistic piece.
And also, more than just taking a photograph and adjusting it, I think it's really the importance of the form is that it allows you can have concepts and you can take different photographs and then you can merge them together so that you're actually it's really a collaging, majorly a collaging medium. So the work is very, people put their ideas in it. It's amazing. Like when you see the work that's going to be shown, there are two aspects to it. Number one, it's a serious photography means. And our main speaker for the weekend is herself like a traditional photographer. This is a big subject right now and quite controversial because for the kind of general photographers are kind of like, so it's a little bit the same as we went through with painters. Like, what is this? Photographers are the same way. Very, very controversial right now. So Mary Walker, who is our speaker, one of our main speakers on behalf of iPhoneography, she is a professor of photography. I mean, she's taught at all the main universities. She's a very traditional photographer. She's a journalist photographer as well. She's like literally she will tell you that her big cameras sit there and she only uses her iPhone. So she's kind of forwarding it as a serious form of photography because many photographers don't yet take it seriously. So just the same as we're doing, and we expanded it simply because we realized it was so important.
Right.
But it's entirely, it's kind of funny because we ran into this. The painters don't want to be judged by a photographer. Photographers are kind of cool. They don't really mind. But the painters are like, I'm not going to be judged by a photographer. He did a photograph and I painted it with my hands. So we had to divide it into two things.
Different jurors.
So that's really why. we had to have 2 jurors because our painters, who are like really our meat and potatoes of who we are, they would get upset if they were being judged by a photographer. Kind of dumb, but that's how it is.
Yeah. Coming back to your question about why it's called iPhoneography is because it originally started with iPhone, but you can use any phone. Yes, it's any phone.
Okay. And so have you guys seen a shift since 2013 or even before that in sort of acceptance and more respect for digital art?
Especially since Dave Hockney's show.
Right.
Yep.
At the Young.
Yeah, the Young. He's a great English painter. He was my go-to painter since I was at college in England. And he started on a phone, by the way, not even on an iPad. He started on his phone on a trip to San Francisco, as a matter of fact, because he used to live in LA. Anyway, that really put it in the... Anybody that has anything to say about it would say, did you see the David Hockney show? And that kind of like puts paid to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they kind of shut up, say, well, okay. So yes, it is being taken seriously now. I would say iPhoneography is probably the most, where the most discussion is.
And I think digital art has been there for a couple of decades now, right? Since the dawn of start of Photoshop, right? What we are doing is the same thing. It's digital art, which has been there, just that we are doing it on mobile devices, right? So there is definitely credibility, and this year we can definitely see Adobe as our diamond sponsor. That means they start to believe in us. And when Adobe, a company like Adobe, they join a conference or support a conference, that means they are seriously thinking about mobile, right? You cannot skip mobile. Mobile is everywhere. Mobile shopping, mobile games, so why not mobile art? So
my first thought when I was learning about this, I'm always trying to think of different demographics and readers, and I thought, well, this is a fairly elitist art form. You've got to be able to buy a fairly expensive iPhone or iPad, and then you need to buy the apps, and you kind of talked me around and made me realize, well, no, first of all, oil paints, canvases, all of that, the way paints dry out, that's a pretty refined, you often have to have a studio.
Yes,
you do. That takes a big investment.
And canvases cost a ton of money. You don't walk into university art and come out under $500 a pop.
And then traditional digital art, even more so, the software and the hardware you need for that. So in this sense, it's almost more of a people's art.
It is. That's our passion, and you got it to exactly. And realize that most of these of our kids now they work on iPads at school. So that's why it's becoming even more important, because we want them to use their iPads and their digital devices for creativity, not just for consumption. And it's really thrilling because, like, I'm teaching a class right now. I'm doing a lot of summer camps, and they're exciting. But the kids come in and they're just like, playing games like crazy. That's all they do. By the end of it, and so, they're consume. By the end of it, they're literally painting and painting and painting and creating. And I really think that's healthy.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, in Elizabeth's story, I think when we first talked in 2013 for the first summit, you guys really emphasized, it's turning this device, which, we're in Palo Alto, everyone's focused on their phones, walking with their phones, in front of their face, and turning it into something where you create and not consume. And then also earlier, before we started the webcast, you and Elizabeth were talking about this woman who was submitted her art this year, and I think has Hodgkin's lymphoma, and we're talking about the power of connection for her and how it sort of had this really powerful
That's
impact.
really important.
Yeah, and just sort of thinking about technology in a totally different
I think
way.
that's where we're really, one of the places we're headed. I know that at the Pacific Art League, I've attended and actually now been in meetings with the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, and I do believe that we will be working with their cancer patients very shortly. Like, it's just kind of final things. I probably, anyway, I think it's kind of exciting. This is just going to be more and more and more evident, because I think they're starting now to get like incontrovertible research that shows a connection between creativity and health. There's absolute connection, and that means, think of kids sitting in hospital with some... I had TB when I was 5 and I was isolated. So I know what it's like. if I had an iPad, I could be drawing, and I would draw in my nursery. That's what I would do. Like, let's say if that happened to me now, I would be drawing on my iPad and sharing with other kids that had the similar thing.
Yes, sharing brings
That's important.
a community together. And when you are drawing on a canvas, right, the art and you are the only person who are talking to each other. When you have a technology in between, then whatever I do, I can always share with everyone who shares the same pain with me.
As an artist, that's so amazing.
If someone is sick or ill, and he's drawing something, and the other person is on the other part of the world.
How much better does he feel?
Yeah, how much better they will feel. And now there are even apps where you can draw together. So if I'm drawing something, the other person can add stuff to it, right? How cool is that? How connected you would be with that person, right? So bringing all these components together into, through technology, and so art definitely really helps in healing, which is still a topic of research, but we both believe in this.
And that's Carolyn's story, really, in a nutshell. Who's the person that you covered in your article? I felt it was really important. She's also she won in both categories, iPhoneography and painter. She's a great painter.
She's very talented.
And she's super talented, and she's so wonderful. And we just want people to know about this stuff.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much. So, like, as you asked, what do I do? So I have been trying to promote the medium. I do free workshops in public libraries and community centers. I've been doing this throughout the valley. And I go there, I do like a 1-hour workshop. All I tell them is very easy to draw on a phone or an iPad. And I just go through different apps. And at the end of the workshop, people just walk out and they're like, really? We can do this? And yes, you can do it, right? And you don't have to spend anything. Most of the apps are like maybe either free or maybe less than $5. And you always have your iPhone, or any smartphone.
What's your top, each of you pick one top iPhoneography and one top painting app that are free that you would recommend to anyone?
Snapseed.
Snapseed?
Snapseed is Google's, it's a brilliant, free, goes on any, I choose that because you can download it on any platform whatsoever. It's free, and it's a great iPhoneography app. And so I would recommend that, hands down.
Yep. And I think for painting, Paper by 53 is a free app. They have this pencil. You can use this pencil. You can buy it from the store. But the app is free. I use mostly my finger to draw.
Me too.
And this is never going to go away.
I'm a finger painter.
Can't lose it. Yeah.
But you can never lose this, right? But I would definitely say the other cool apps are like Procreate, Sketchbook from Autodesk.
Sketchbook's good because it goes on all
platforms. Right?
Platforms. So it's funny because artists you kind of find different ones that you fall in love with, and Procreate's my favorite. Yeah. But you sort of get used to how it's put together, so you kind of know where it all is.
That's true. Like it's depending on what kind of person you are. I was doing more traditional painting earlier. So I like Art Rage, which gives more traditional kind of effect. I do use Procreate, but my recent love is with Pixelmator for the iPhoneography. This is an app based on a company which is based in a very small country, Louisiana or somewhere, and they're doing some really awesome work on the app, and very powerful. They're sponsoring us this year. This first time they're getting into mobile. They've been #1 app on the Mac. This first time they're coming to mobile. So they're very excited about the conference, and they're supporting us.
So we kind of didn't answer your question because we told you about 6.
You told me more than one. That's okay.
Everyone wants to find one that works for them, so it's good to have options.
I was just thinking before we wrap up, we should make sure that we've talked about next weekend just briefly what's being shown and what's on offer.
Okay, so on Friday, we're really inviting people to come to the grand opening. And it's a grand opening of the Mobile Digital Art and Creativity exhibitions, the 2 exhibitions, and that's at Palo Alto Art Center on Newell Avenue. If you do want to come, we do ask that you go to our site so we know you're coming, just because that's kind of the practice, and we want to, be polite so that we don't overwhelm everybody. But we do invite you to come, so you go to our site, which is mobileartacademy.com. And then you can sign up.
The conference site is...
And it's free.
Yeah, the conference site is mdecsummit.org, where we have the free ticket option, the link on the main page. So just get your free ticket so that we know how many people are coming up. We already have around almost 500 people showing up, so we're kind of overwhelmed, but we still.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
So this is going to be a fun evening, and we also, by the way, have some Mozart in the garden, in the sculpture garden. So it's going to be really a fun evening between 6 and 8:30.
What will people see?
Differently, you should.
What will people see?
Oh, well, they'll see one exhibition, which is going to be about 70 different paintings.
Right.
They're all produced by Bay Photo Labs, who are also our sponsors. And they'll be on a series, like different types of substrates. Some will be printed on wood, and they look amazing. A lot are printed on metal. And then you'll see separately, which is down in the, what they call the Children's Gallery. That's all of the iPhoneography pieces, and they're all printed photographically on photographic paper, different finishes, and they're all mounted. So and it's very inexpensively. We have not priced it high. So
It's all for sale.
It's all mostly. Like we've asked each artist if they want to. Then a few said no, they'd rather not sell it this because they only bought 3 of them. So yeah, you can buy it, and it's lovely. You can take it home, and hang it up and have it for yourself. So and it's open throughout the whole month, by the way.
And it's digital, so you can have, even if some art is already sold, you can still get a copy of it, right?
Yeah.
So
Great.
yeah.
And we can do that. So then on Saturday, that's when our conference starts. And we're pretty well full, but we're always, if somebody's like really desperate, like, oh, I really want to come in, contact us. We can probably find a little spot for you. So that starts on Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, and that goes all the way through. So there you're going to get 2, in the auditorium we have major workshops going on, and then in the meeting room, which is another part of Palo Alto Art Center, we have a second tier.
So we have 2 tracks. Let me
2
just talk a little bit about.
So you tell
One
them.
is the digital art track, which is the main track where people mostly into drawing and stuff like iPhoneography and all. They can go to that track. All the sessions cover all the major apps and the workshops. The second track is the creativity track. As you know, creativity is part of the whole deal because you call it Mobile Digital Art and Creativity Summit, right? Over there, people can learn about composing music on the iPhone and the iPads, comic strips, videography, animation, even 3D modeling.
Caricaturing.
So a lot of good stuff.
Writing and illustrating books. I have 7-year-olds that write and illustrate the most amazing books by themselves on an iPad. So you learn to do that too. And printing.
Yeah, so a lot of good stuff.
Something for everyone.
Yeah. Something for everyone, exactly.
Great.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for both of you coming
You're
on.
welcome.
And if you want to read our story that's in this week's paper online at paloaltoonline.com.